of Startup REI Show. If you haven't done so already, please hop on to startupreishow.com where you'll see what top five angel investors are saying about angel and real estate investing. Five people that may include a three-time founder, a VC fund manager, a super angel, and also a multifamily syndicator as well. And I don't remember the last one. But today, I have an announcement in which I have Brad Kayton joining with us today. And his titles are everywhere, I'll tell you. He is a C-level executive, entrepreneur, Frank CFO, which I don't necessarily know.
Fractional CFO.
Fractional CFO.
Fractional
And
CFO, yeah. Character
and
limit
an
there on the title.
exceptional, or not exceptional, ex-angel investor. But I'll tell you what is exceptional
Because
about
I
him
wasn't
is
so exceptional. That's why I'm X.
his resume and on his LinkedIn. If you search him up, I think his name is Brad Kayton on there. Just take out the LEY. Is just superb. I mean, I'm even reading through it now. Anyway, can you give us a little short background about yourself professionally initially?
Sure, happy to. So out of college, I started as a computer programmer
Uh-huh.
and was on, an entry level computer programmer for some companies on the East Coast,
Right.
and started kind of working my way up, and then went to graduate school. And as part of graduate school at University of Texas in Austin, where I
Mm-hmm.
was doing a tech MBA, which they're pretty good at, I switched over to the product marketing side, and then got
Wow.
involved with a number of companies making pretty innovative products, and had a lot of fun with that, and got involved at the inventor level. So I have 13 patents to my name from various venues.
Wow.
Um, Most of them in one energy venue, actually, which I'll talk about later, maybe.
We will. Mm-hmm.
And then did that for a while and had some success. So two of my startups sold in 2010. That was a great year. It's my favorite year. I had two exits
Wow.
in one year. Um, and use that to start doing some angel capital investing, and first
Okay.
individually, and then ended up getting involved, uh, starting a fund with an angel capital fund with some other folks.
Was that a
Uh,
syndicate at all?
it was a fund, so we put our money in, and then there was a level of democracy,
Ah,
to
I
vote
see.
on.
Correct.
There's a screening committee, and then you had to have a number of votes there to move on to the bigger group to have a vote there. So a lot of the angel groups, even angel funds, have that group mentality to it, and we did as well.
Yeah.
And that went on for a while. And the founder of that, it was a friend of mine too, died unfortunately. So it was a real sad
So sorry
situation.
to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, it was, and so anyway, so I started getting involved in a number of the companies that I invested in,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of them, so I won't go into all those. So I joke I was a serial entrepreneur, and then I
Yeah.
became a parallel entrepreneur,
Okay.
doing a lot of things in parallel, literally. I also have a little FINRA registered firm, so
Wow.
I do. I've only done 3 or 4 projects, but M&A. So I do representing the sell side, the companies when they're ready to sell themselves. That's fun. I love getting involved in the exit, and so that's one way to do it. So I do a little bit of that as well.
I'm sure. I'm sure. What made you decide to be an ex? After all of this, what do you currently do now?
Right. I call myself an ex-angel investor. The only reason is that a too high percentage of my net worth is in startup companies.
Got it. Got it.
So it's just not smart investing. I keep
No,
doing it
100%.
though. It's not smart, but I keep doing it. But I do need to. So I'm trying to set the tone that look, I really shouldn't be angel investing anymore. It's well over half my net worth. Well over
Wow.
is in startup equities. So after a while, you gotta tame that down a little bit. I mean, that's the difference between an angel investor and a venture capitalist, right? Is an angel capital, a venture capitalist, they get their next investors in. An angel capitalist, unless you have a big win,
Hmm.
it's not quite the same, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
anyway, that's why I have the X there.
Thank you very much for mentioning that. You have a great background, I'll tell you. But out of all those titles, you're a human being, and so at the deepest core, I may want to ask, why do you do what you do?
Okay, yeah, no, that's a great question. Um, the Romans used to live for what they would be thought of after death. right? Like, what are you going
Yes.
to leave behind? Very
Legacy.
dramatically, right? The
Yeah.
legacy, right? And so a little bit of that, right? At least if I go down that track. And so I have two great causes. One is the environment. I worry about our poor planet, and the other is animals.
Wow. Okay. Those two come
I
hand
ha-
in
yeah, that's hard. I haven't. I was able to mix a lot of the help the planet on angel investments, not as many on pet investments, really, or animal investments. So those tend to be more charities. So anyway, so it's trying to live your day doing something that gives me satisfaction. I shouldn't talk in the third person. It gives me satisfaction by doing something to give back, and that also is hopefully profitable or mentally entertaining for myself.
Is there anything else that is that you can highlight that is your higher purpose aside from like giving back or?
I mean, I guess I like. I recently read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Big, thick book, and her theories of objectivism have been resonating me with recently. I started reading it in business school. It was too long to finish. So I don't believe really necessarily a higher purpose of uh, going to an afterlife or something like that. But the higher purpose, I think in business is trying to. I mean, certainly one of the higher purposes I think I might have is trying to make the sustainability movement match business models
Yeah,
so that they can all work together, because you can't go forever just giving and doing debt financing to projects if they're never going to create revenue.
correct.
So I guess to tie it back, maybe to a more business plane of thinking, the ethereal realm of commerce, it would be that.
Okay, okay. I actually can relate to that because the main reason why the main reason why this was born was because I was in university studying commercial real estate and development specifically. While doing that, I was very involved in the startup world at my university, and I had actually founded a tech startup, but it didn't surpass
Oh,
MVP because our validation of that project was just not going to work.
mm,
Um, we were trying to run a car on seawater. It was called Project Saltwater Freshwater. Efficiencies on that thermodynamically and on the science side just doesn't work, and economically it would make sense, but scientifically it wouldn't. But
I could see that with the trying to convert that to energy, right? There's
exactly,
not enough lemon to squeeze the juice out. So, in
yeah,
an analogy, but great idea. I mean,
yeah,
a great attempt, right? I mean, you have to have these risky attempts, right? Or you won't have the next breakthrough, because
that's
every
true.
breakthrough is
That's true.
crazy until it's brilliant, right?
That is correct. That is correct. And I was very much involved with the U. And I wouldn't say I was personally involved, but the project was very much involved with trying to solve the 3 out of 17 UN Sustainable Developmental Goals of 2030. I don't know if you're fairly aware of it,
hmm
but it,
Yes, I've read about it, seen it. I haven't, but go ahead,
but
please.
essentially the first one was access to clean water and sanitation. That's the
Right.
first one, because the output of the whole product or system was fresh water, literally from salt water to fresh water. Number two was to solve climate change, which was a huge deal. Essentially, we're all going to. The idea was to um, replace all cars that were running on gas to be seawater. You just take seawater from the ocean, which is abundant, 97% of the whole world. Anyway, number three was an affordable and clean energy, which ties it all back to sustainability, right? And
hmm
just
hmm
those practices. And so I think you're also doing something in regards to sustainability with your current project now, which does relate to both IPO and cash flow. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. No, thanks for asking. Yeah, it's a company called Zome Energy Networks, and we make a solution for apartment buildings. At least that's the first segment that it's being targeted at. So
Right.
anyone that owns apartment buildings, if it's a very common investment, We have a
Yes.
nice way to increase cash flow on that, which you probably never heard of before,
No, first
which
time.
is yeah, which is with the energy footprint, as we call it. So the building is using energy, and the grid is getting more and more stressed. And if you have an energy broker that is registered with the wholesale, not the retail, but the wholesale energy markets,
Correct.
and that's what Zome, one of the things Zome is its value add, you can get paid, not just saving money, which you also get, but get paid for bringing down your energy when the grid's under stress.
Wow.
And it gets called for. And it says, oh, if we can bring down the energy, that's really going to help us not have a blackout or a brownout or blow out this transformer or cause this alarm to go or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's become actually over the last, and this has been going on for a while, but it's become very sophisticated over the last 10 years. There's a lot
Wow.
of programs that you can enter into. So your
Correct.
demand reduction or your energy
Your load.
reduction
Mhm.
is you can get paid for it. And of course, as you bring down the energy, you're saving obviously on your energy bill. So you get both. So you save money and make money. And so we noticed that. And I brought I partnered up with a gentleman named Dr. Alex Papalexopoulos,
Okay.
who, a tough name to say,
Yeah, it is.
but a brilliant man who designed the wholesale energy markets that allow these programs for demand reduction. So I have a product guy background. I've done some interesting hardware related products and software and SaaS and all that. And
Right.
he's the energy guy. And so we're kind of like the odd couple a little bit, right? We got together. And so what we've done is we've created a solution set that goes into the buildings, into the apartment buildings,
Mhm.
and we replace the thermostats. And usually they're older mechanical thermostats with the new smart thermostat. And then we put these little wireless adapters on the hot water heaters
Mhm.
because hot water heating and HVAC, the heat, the air, the heat or the cooling of the air is over half. It's about 2/3 really of the energy in any buildings, certainly apartment buildings. So those two devices, IoT devices,
It
if you
is.
will, right? And we have a central gateway that controls the whole building. That solution set is also connected to the cloud and then to the wholesale energy markets. So we act as the
Whoa.
broker and aggregator for everyone in the
Yeah.
apartment building and the common areas for the building owner as well. Um, hey, time to save, time to make money, right? And we do it automatically. So it's all automated. No one has to do anything. It's all
Yeah.
automatic and it creates new cash flow. And so if you're a building owner, say with a 200 unit apartment complex, you can work with us and you will get anywhere from 10 to 12, maybe even $15,000 a year of additional
Wow.
cash flow just by helping yourself and others save money at the same time.
Wow. That's
So it's
amazing.
hard. It's hard to get your head around, and I have to say it often again and again to people because it's unusual. But yeah, you can get paid for reducing your energy if it's on demand, and you're registered and ready to do it. And so, yeah, it's interesting. So you can, so it's a potential new cash flow, and it's nice for the apartment building owner, right, or the property company because now it's green, right?
It is.
Hey, it's a green program. Or connect the markets. It's more tech. You get a mobile app. Every tenant gets a nice mobile app so they can remotely control their thermostat and set it if they're away from home and stuff like that. And nine times out of 10, when we're installing this system, we're replacing an old mechanical thermostat, right? The old
Correct.
turn, the old ones that, and now you get a nice digital one that's connected to your mobile app. So there's a lot of nice benefits. And here's the last thing I'll throw in, Yvonne, if you'll keep me going with the cash flow, is that FERC, stay with me here now, FERC, which is the Federal Energy Regulation
Perfect.
Commission,
Okay.
that oversees these wholesale energy markets. It's not everywhere in the country, but it's about 2/3 of the country has these market structures where it's deregulated. They allow what's called value stacking. So what that means is when they can call for or we can bid into these programs. So one energy event, okay, so from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Friday, it's going to be a hot day. We know we're going to make money and save money. We're going to bring down everyone's temperature a few degrees or up a few degrees,
Whoa.
depending on the season. We can get paid for that multiple times,
Wow.
multiple times. And so that becomes a viable and valuable revenue stream. And that's where it became a new business model. So we like to say we're monetizing energy efficiency.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and there's enough money to be made there that we can pay for the equipment, that we can fund that for the building owner and for us collectively, where they don't pay anything. So the equipment's free. We'll install it. we'll run it like a cable modem, for cable service as an example. But this is for the energy intelligence. Doesn't cost anything. You get all those benefits, that cash flow. So it's a pretty exciting. This is what the energy markets are trying to do. They're trying to allow buildings to be, flexible, as they say, with their energy, because that's what the grid needs as it gets solar and wind and more
Correct.
distributed. Right? It's not the old one-way grid where power is going
No.
down. There's different
Yep.
pockets of energy and distributed grid, and so there's a lot of programs out there that are only getting more and more funded. This last big
So
65 billion to the grid is part of this too.
so to me, it's like a recapture of what could have been wasted.
Yeah.
And that's why it's saved and you guys get paid. And so if this is what I'm trying to ask the question of, like, where's the product market fit for A class properties, B class? Because most of the time, in my realm at least for real estate, in syndications, I don't know if you've ever participated in them. Just like a syndicate model in angel investing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, no, these are some of our customers, our clients, are these
correct,
real estate
correct.
syndicators.
I see that the syndicators are not necessarily your customers, but much more the property owner or the property managers that could very much benefit for this. I don't think the asset class doesn't matter. I think it's more just the property management and how they manage the efficiencies of how the whole thing is run, right?
We have multiple customers. Is You're right about that, but the answer is we have multiple customers because we have different portal interfaces for the building owner and the property manager. Property manager is going to care more. The owners are care more about the return and how much money are we making.
Yeah.
The building managers care more about how are things working. We have a feature for the property managers that's actually pretty interesting. It's called vacancy mode management.
Okay.
So in a large building, you're going to have maybe up to a dozen, 5, 10 building apartment units that are vacant. And there's a cost to running that. And often the bills get actually pretty high on the energy side, right? The painter
Yeah.
turns the heat way up to dry it overnight, or just the opposite. You use the AC because everyone's hot when they're working, and they'll leave it on overnight. And so we automatically will
Adjust the
moderate that. Yeah,
energy.
so they appreciate that, right? So there's different benefits, I guess, for different groups. But yeah, you're right. That's a very important component of this because you're putting, there is an interface with the tenants, right? There is a new thermostat that needs to be installed. So,
Yeah.
that in itself has a psychic cost to it, I guess, right? Because you have
It
to
does.
set up the installation.
One more question I do have is I do see that some developmental projects are, since I have a background in that, just based off of school, not experience. Um, some development projects are trying to meet the demand of housing, for example. Couldn't you apply Zone Kit, essentially what your organization offers, to those development projects? Just make them efficient at the first hand instead of just doing it afterwards after like 30 years, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. And so and kind of what you were talking about before, I'll kind of combine the two with the different grade A, B. And we've done work up and down the scale, and we actually have found that I think for the tenants, it's most valuable with the low income housing, the Section 8 income housing.
Right.
We have some projects going on right now in Dallas and Portland, but Dallas in particular, where with our system in place, we're saving. We say 10 to 20% in this particular building. It was we were able to get 20 to 25% savings on the energy bill, which was about $100 average energy bill, $20 to $25 in
Correct.
savings for the tenant. And they came up. Our field guy was out there the next month, came out, gave him a big hug. Because that turns out was a big difference because there's only a few $100s in disposable income for the whole year.
Correct. Yeah, that's
So
right.
that was a heartwarming story. I wish we had it on video. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
but
Next time.
but
Next time.
yeah, maybe next time. But yeah, so that's so there's a lot of benefit to the tenants, and they're certainly tolerant of, oh, I can save more money to have the temperature go up a little higher, fine. So we have found, which is surprising to me, but a natural affinity, it's funny enough, to low income housing. The very high end apartments, they don't want it. They don't want you touching their
No.
temperature,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
The mid market we do well. So it's a mid
Yeah.
market in Section 8, and the low income housing is our sweet spots, as it turns out.
Wow. Thank you for all that. I learned so much more about zone power here than if
I
it was
talk too
just
much
me.
about it, I guess, but
You
it's an
could see
interesting
the passion.
concept
I
that.
love it.
Yeah, thanks. It's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
I realize it's so new for a lot of people. Like, oh, I didn't realize I could get paid for saving money and saving energy. That's interesting, right? So
Well, in California, if that was the case here, since I'm in Los Angeles, then there's just rebates by the government
no, actually, there's programs as well in California ISO or CAISO. It's one of the more advanced wholesale markets.
I didn't know that.
You have to have your act together a little bit more in California, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit harder to get involved in the market. And they're doing the most, of course, as you probably know, with solar,
Yeah,
uh,
we are.
right, from distributed solar. So it's
Correct.
it's the market leader for sure in that area. We've been operating at Zome in the Northeast. It was called the PGM, 13 states in the East Coast and in Texas. But we're just now starting. We actually we have two buildings in California, but we haven't really started. We're just starting up
Got it.
because it's a very good market as well, California.
Yeah, just being respectful of time here. I know now we're a little bit over time. You're okay with keep going, or
Sure. No, it's fine. Yeah, please.
yeah. So in that case, then since you've had investments in both, tech, I don't know. Do you have real estate investments yourself?
I do.
Okay, and then my question to you,
Excuse
going
me.
back to the first question, is IPO or cash flow, and how does your portfolio go with that?
Right. Um, well, I think like any good investment, you should have a mix. I guess
Yeah,
don't listen to me because, as I revealed earlier in the call, I'm
it's like
irrationally
more than
overinvested in,
50.
in startup equities. But I mean, IPOs are great. I mean, I've been involved in one company where there was an IPO, and that was just an exciting time.
Was that a unicorn or is that just a
No, it was a sale to go public. So can't claim that the company went public, but it was all part of a kind of a roll up.
correct?
But the cash flow situation, I'd say cash flow. I mean, cash flow when it's good and it's stable is it's just so consistent, right? So the annuity cash flow model, I think between the two, I guess I would vote for.
Annuity cash flow model. First time I've ever heard of that. No one ever referred to it as an annuity, so I appreciate you. Thank you. I'll pick up on that, and actually, I'll keep saying that more. And so, any final thoughts? I know we're gonna come on a close here. Any final thoughts that you would like, you would have wanted to know about cash flow or IPO investing, just so the audience knows and understands?
Just to invest it in general. I think yeah. I mean, I guess kind of combine a little bit what I was talking about. I think the real estate tech sector or prop tech,
Yeah,
property technology, is a very interesting sector because apartment buildings have not adopted technology, unlike single family homes and office buildings.
right.
So I would look for that because there's an opportunity, and we're seeing it to sell a lot of product, thus have good quarters, to thus have your stock go up, and there's a number of companies that are selling into that sector. So I'd keep an eye out for that. That's an opportunity.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Bradley, for being on the show. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your wisdom,
Thanks,
knowledge,
Ivan.
and
No, it was fun. I
experience.
appreciate it. I
I
appreciate it.
really appreciate you. And is there a great resource for what would be the best way to reach out if people are more than interested?
Well, let's see. I guess they could get to me on LinkedIn personally or to the website. We have all sorts of forms you can fill out, which is Zom, ZOM, as in Mary E, power.com on the Zome side.
So right on the screen, I have
That's it.
www.zonepower.com. If you want to know more about the kit, that's what I have on this on there.
That's the
Forward
product.
slash
Yeah, Zome
Zone
Kit's the
Kit.
product we put into the apartments.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being on the show, and I'll end the
Thanks so
stream
much.
now.